Get water. Everybody is.
Hi, Rose. Can you hear us?
We're ready for it.
Rose.
My field's
I can. Good morning.
Good morning. I think we'll get started here in just a minute. Okay. All righty. Everybody to go. Good. I almost said good morning. Whew. It's good at it is good morning. This is afternoon, but it is morning. Okay, all right, we're good. So good morning, everyone. Like to call the meeting to order at 9:05. And let's do the pledge if we could, please. The flag is in the back. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. No, it's the 4-H pledge is what you do next. Pledge my head to greater things. All right, so public comment. Any member of the public may address the board on matters which are within the jurisdiction of the board. We request that you limit your comments to 3 minutes per member or 5 minutes per group. The public comment time is your opportunity for you to express your views and is not for questions and answers. No comments or questions shall be directed to staff or other members of the public. If any member of the public would like to comment at this time, please state your name and who you represent for the record. Any public? None in the room that willing to make comments? And anybody online? We got. Can't tell who's under. Oh, that's a county one, so I guess. Yeah, all right. Okay, so moving on to 1C, the final tentative agenda was posted at the Rio Blanco County Historic Courthouse, 555 Main Street, Meeker, Colorado, and at the Rangeley Town Hall, 209 East Main Street, Rangeley, on March 20th, 26. And I would ask for a motion on the approval of the agenda, 1D.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda for March 24th, 2026 with the change of removing item 2 meeting minutes for February 10th, 2026.
From the consent.
From
Number
the
2 consent. Okay.
A second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the agenda with the deletion of consent number 2, the meeting minutes from February 10th. Would you call? Is that supposed to be March? Yes, actually that was March as well, right?
Yes.
Sorry, it was deleted. So yes, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Sorry. So are you removing it from the consent agenda and then putting it on the action items, or are you tabling it? I don't know what delete means. Thank you.
Thank you. We have not seen them to be able to approve them, so we were simply deleting them from the agenda period, I think.
Yes.
Is that appropriate?
So, no, you'll need to table it until your next meeting.
Okay. All righty. So we have a motion and a second. Let's see, I think you can withdraw that if you are willing to do that so he can restate the motion.
Yes.
Would you like to withdraw your current motion of deleting it?
Do I have to make a motion to do that?
No.
Okay, yes, I will withdraw the motion.
And does the second agree?
Yes.
All right. So the motion has been withdrawn to delete it from the agenda. So now we are back to
So, Madam Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda for March 24th, 2026 with the following changes. I would like to table item 2 from the consent agenda.
does that work, Rose?
So we'll need two motions, one to table it until your next meeting, whatever that date is, a date certain. And then take the vote, and then you'll need another motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda.
Okay. So we are not doing the consent agenda right now. We're just improving the agenda as a whole is what we're trying to do.
I
So
apologize. Yes. So one motion to table and then one motion to approve the agenda.
in that order,
The table would be first, then approving the agenda, because then the rest of the agenda will be without that tabled item.
okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. So we did not have a second on that motion. So it died for a lack of a second. So if I understand it right, I'm looking for a motion to table number 2 of the consent agenda.
Is that not what I just did?
No, you were trying to approve the agenda with the table, and we just need to do the table separately than the agenda.
Okay.
And I need the date that you're tabling it to.
That is
April
April
14th. If you're separate.
right
Madam
now.
Chairman, I make a motion to table the consent item number 2 until April 14th. Meeting minutes from March 10th, 2026.
A second?
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to table consent line item number 2, which was the meeting minutes from March 10th until April 14th.
Okay.
Would
Go ahead.
discussion.
Okay.
I'm giving our note taker a minute to get caught up here. You're okay.
I think I'm okay.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Haron.
Aye.
All right, now I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Now I'm going to make a motion to approve the agenda for March 24th, 2026, including the changes.
I second.
All right. Motion and a second to approve the agenda for March 24th with the change of tabling consent number 2. If you would call the roll, please.
Oh, Overton.
Aye.
O'Haron.
Aye.
Scritchfield.
All righty. Moving on to the consent number 1.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the below listed items of the consent agenda. March 13th, 2026 payroll management reports. The agreement for services with wild vegetation management for the Peons Creek weed spraying project. The agreement with Bolton Construction LLC for the County Road 8 EWP project. The agreement for services with White's Construction and Excavation for the County Road 5 EWIP project. The approval for Road and Bridge to purchase magnesium chloride for the 2026 dust control project. The ratification of the VHS County Attorney Agreement with Coy, Dingham Boom and Oates LLC. And last, Rio Blanco County herbicide bid to Van Deest not to exceed the amount of $161,879.70.
I'll second that motion.
Alrighty, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with those following items that were listed as 3 through 9. Any other discussion?
What percentage of the 161,000 do we get back from the public that buys stuff from us? Wild guess.
I'd say, I don't know, 25, 30%, because a lot of it is in the fund transfers.
Okay, I was just curious at how much that helped the public during that service.
Yeah, I think we do have a lot to.
Thank you.
If you could call the roll, please.
O'Haron,
Aye.
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Hi.
Alrighty, moving on to business number 1.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve a letter of support for the White River Conservation District for the watershed planning through congressional directed spending.
I second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the letter of support for the White River Conservation District for a grant that they are applying for, congressionally directed spending. And Reese, do you want to share some information, a little more on that for us, please?
Sure can. I met with Vanessa last week to get me really up to speed. So essentially, you might be aware of some of the projects going on the 3 big ditches to improve infrastructure. So the engineers that were hired out have come up with 3 different designs and different alternatives. The landowners have selected their preferred designs and alternatives for the projects. But now NEPA needs to be done. So first, they'll do a feasibility report to determine if this project is fit for NEPA. Once NEPA is authorized, the next step is the watershed plan. And that NEPA could, the cost of NEPA could potentially be upwards of $800,000. The districts could ask NRCS to help fund NEPA, but that process could take up to 3 years. So instead, the districts could apply for these CDS funds for immediate assistance. And then Friends at the Farmers Conservation Alliance, or FCA, can apply and do much of the legwork for the districts on their behalf. But FCA needs a letter of support to move forward with the application. So the districts would really appreciate a letter of support from the county to move this project forward. Further, once this gets moving, it's pretty likely that FCA could help facilitate the NEPA process as well, since they have their old consultant, but the districts will put it out for bid nonetheless. So that's the big picture of it. You'll have to excuse my limited knowledge because I just got up to speed on it last week, but I am filling in for Vanessa nonetheless.
Excellent and good job. Does anybody have any questions on that?
I would like to, do you know what projects, real briefly, that the ditches are wanting to do?
I do not, admittedly. I can find out though and get back to you guys because I would like to know myself. I need to know more about these projects anyways.
So I have a pretty good idea because it was the stuff we were working on back when I was with the districts. So, and I don't know where it's at most recently, but I know the initial process or conversation was so it's Miller Creek Ditch, the Highland Ditch, and the Oak Ridge Ditch are the 3 big ditches is what we refer to.
Right.
Highland Ditch, and I don't know what they finally landed on, but initially the priorities were up towards the head gate There's some definite lining that needed to go on there because that ditch runs parallel to the river, pretty close to it. So there was that, and then, and again, I don't know, there's multiple alternatives, but the one possibility was to line that ditch all the way, which was going to be about 5 miles, to keep it from washing out.
And that is the Miller Creek?
That's the Miller Creek one.
Right.
Okay. And right now they are actually in the process of doing a liner for a short period just to get by, just above Highland Ditch. Because it sloughed off in Highland last year. I mean, it's been a little bit, but it got worse last year. Though that ditch in particular washes out way too frequently. And when it washes out, it's pretty significant. And I know, and I'm going to say a few years ago, 10 years ago-ish, when it washed out, it was big enough, they didn't get to irrigate all summer. And that cost people a lot. That was the Miller Creek, yeah, right? Does that sound familiar?
Yeah,
Right.
when you first started, you started
Oh,
with the
sorry.
wrong ditch.
Okay, sorry, started with the wrong one. So Miller Creek at the highest level there. So it's pretty significant to get this ditch repaired. Not just a Band-Aid here and a Band-Aid there and a Band-Aid there. They need something that's fixed, that's a solid fix for the next 50 years.
It goes through a lot of rock and stuff that it won't seal. So then
Has little fissures, what do you call them? Anyway, leaks that create some real challenges. Basically, all 3 ditches have some very similar scenarios. It's just the Miller Creek ditch runs at the highest level and has the furthest to drop and actually runs across a very narrow spot there for quite a ways.
Yeah.
What's that?
At the flume. The beach.
Yeah. So, and then Highland Ditch has significant seepage for the first, I'm going to say roughly a third of the ditch, especially to the road, County Road 4. Significant seepage. The work that they had done on them, or it's the testing they had done on them, at least the Miller Creek ditch is losing between 10 and 15% of its water before it gets to the first field. So
Yeah.
pretty significant, pretty serious projects here. And again, just because it kind of comes across, goes on the other side, but the Oak Ridge ditch has some very similar issues, and 2 of them are looking at headgate and diversion projects as well. Ideally, Farmers Conservation Alliance is really a cool project out of Oregon that I have a lot of confidence in being able to help and facilitate the process. They do this in multiple states, multi-millions of dollars of projects, which this one will be. To get the funding and the approval and engineering and contracts to actually get it done. There's groups that they've been working with for 15 to 20 years, and they take it step by step and get it done. So I have a lot of faith in them, and I'm excited to see the districts being the fiscal agent for this, for the 3 ditches, to move it forward. Probably more than you wanted to know.
no, that's perfect. Thank you.
And I don't think I mean, there's certainly some information could have changed in the last year and a half, but I think that's the general concept. Yes, ma'am.
Madam
Yes.
Chair. So the last experience we had with congressionally directed spending is it took 3 years, even though anticipated it would be the following year that we would get that. Does that change the project in any way or scope?
They know this is a long-term effort. We've been working on it probably 4-ish years, and we know it's a very long-term project. This probably, especially given the current funding from the federal level, I would say this is by far their fastest course, even if it takes them 3 years to get just the NEPA done.
And with the shortage of water, that
Is huge.
makes it even more critical.
Yes.
No, my concern was that as much as it cost for the NEPA to do this project, I was hoping that it was a little more than what the NEPA cost.
It will be a lot more than what the NEPA will cost. They're looking, and this has been what, 3 years ago, they were telling us, you want to figure $1 million a mile for the
Miller Creek.
Miller Creek, and that's a while ago. So we're probably pushing.
Yeah, I knew about that one because it's been ongoing for a while.
So it will be, and again, even if there's not money there for it, even for a few years after the NEPA's done, if you've got it a shovel-ready project, I'm convinced if anybody can find the money, Farmers Conservation Alliance can find it. Whether it be through government, NGOs, whatever. They're amazing.
Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? Reese, does that compute with anything that you had heard?
Yeah, I hadn't talked to Vanessa about the CDS funds specifically. We kind of focused mostly on the timeline with NEPA and how FCA could help with that. But we could probably touch base with Vanessa to find out more and get an update.
And this letter is due in the next 2 or 3 days. So I think it's, I'm okay with us moving forward with it at this point. So if you would call roll.
O'Haron. Aye. Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Hi.
All righty. Thank you. Thanks, Reese.
You bet.
All righty. Moving on to business number 2.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the ratification of a letter of opposition to the Colorado House of Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee regarding House Bill 26-1323 wildfire resiliency prohibiting taking of beavers.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to ratify the letter to the House Ag and Natural Resource Committee regarding House Bill 26-1323. Update and discussion. If you could give us an update, Reese.
I'm gonna try to hold my grin back, but I'm pretty happy this morning. So thank you all for the quick turnaround on this. You know, as you know, this was a letter outlining our concerns and the ask of the Ag Committee to vote no on this bill, mostly from the perspective that it's unnecessary and CPW needs to have a chance to implement the beaver management strategy. As you may also know, this bill outright would have just fundamentally banned hunting of beaver on public lands in Colorado, with the justification to improve wildfire resiliency and watershed health. Great turnout yesterday when it was scheduled during House Ag Committee. A lot of proponents showed up and provided some really nice testimony. And ultimately, this bill died in a pretty hefty vote of 10-3. So we were all pretty excited about that. I think this was a critical point for wildlife management in Colorado. And I'm happy to say the House Ag Committee members, I think, saw that as well and voted this bill down. And most of them continued to reference their concern that we needed to allow CPW a chance to implement the strategy. I would just wrap it up with, I don't think this is the last of this issue we will hear about. The bill proponents will be watching CPW's moves very closely on how they implement the strategy and manage the species moving forward. And I think we could expect more action in this space if they don't think CPW is operating up to par with their concerns. So happy to answer any questions, but yesterday was a good day. So thank you.
Thank you. And you testified on that as well, right, Reese?
Oh, yes.
In addition to the letter that we sent. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that.
Happy
that-
to.
That was awesome. Always nice to say we can finally had a win in the legislature. So that being said, would you call the roll, please?
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Haron.
Aye.
All righty, moving on to business number 3.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Cooperative Forest Service Agreement 26-RO-11021500-017 between Rio Blanco County and USDA Forest Service, White River National Forest Service for the supply, hauling, and placement of 1 mile of gravel on Forest Service Road 250.2 East Beaver Yellow Jacket, a Schedule A road.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Cooperative Forest Service Agreement to haul and gravel 1 mile of road on Forest Service 250.2. Questions, comments, discussion?
I think they're getting ready to, they have a timber sale and this is going to improve the road so they can get the trucks in and out of there.
And yes, on the timber sale,
Yeah.
it's about time. So, all righty. Anything else? If you would call the roll, please.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Haron.
Aye.
Scritchfield.
All righty. So we do not have any resolutions and we do not have any public hearings. So if we could have a motion to recess for the Board of Social Services.
Madam Chair, I move to go into recess to go into the, well, no, I'm not gonna include that. At 9:31.
I'll second that.
All righty. So a motion and a second to recess the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of Social Services.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Just a moment, please. Let us go ahead and do our roll call.
Oh, okay, sorry.
O'Haron.
Aye.
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
All righty. Now we can move into our Human Services meeting.
Hi, sorry, take off and let you see the camera, but it make you guys motion sickness. The state told me yesterday that it looks like they're going into a winter storm when my camera's on. So I'll just leave it off.
Hope for a winter storm, but okay.
I know exactly. So I'll go ahead and do a quick overview of how our department's doing and things, and then we'll go into the ME review, if that's okay with you all.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of mention that our eligibility team is doing amazing. Sarah's helping them keep up to date on some changes that may coming down, and with all the changes and not sure what's happening. They've been doing great. They've been amazing troopers. Our child welfare, Kelsey, has been doing an amazing job with her team as well, preparing certain changes. We no longer have a caseworker as of last week, but she's been, like I said, Kelsey has had her team on it. It's great. Adriana, I have to give a shout out, got 100% on her ARD, which is an administrative review. So that's huge for us. She's awesome. Also that transitioning to Coy, Dingburn, and Oates. Anyway, they have been amazing with us. That transition, they called us like, hey, let us know what's happening, give us updates. They went into court and a few things were just awesome. With Ben, he is wrapping up and still transitioning stuff to the group, that new lawyers and stuff. He is finishing up and wrapping up some child support cases. Coy and Ding Boom and Oats are handling all of our child welfare until the end of the month, and then they'll go fully into child welfare and child support cases. Does that make sense? And anything eligibility that comes up. So let's see. We had a dues management review. We will be going over any findings with our team. We have a SNAP review in May. And then Kelsey will be going to the convening coming up. CCI with myself, and then our eligibility team will be doing some training in Denver. Also, what is happening is back last August, I believe we were awarded the HIGPUF grant for training to get caught up on all new rules and stuff like that. And as Jennifer is well aware, there is tons happening right now. And so we are Bree, I don't know, Bree Brocken, I always massacre her last name. So Bree B is actually going to be assisting with that. She actually used to work for HIGPUF and OIT. She is willing to come and do some in-person training with us on anything that we may have missed or not sure of. And she actually is on top of all these MA reviews that go on across the state. So she will be assisting so we don't have any gaps moving forward as well. So we're excited to have her and her mom, Janine, are consultants for these, for the HIGPUF training part.
Carmen,
Oh, go ahead.
this is Vicky. If I could just ask one question about the convening. Do you know if Coy, Ding Boom, and Oats, one of them is going to be attending that? I know that was kind of.
I'm not sure, but I could reach, I could reach out and see.
Mandatory for
The
county
attorneys.
to
Yeah.
go. That's
Okay.
That was the Jill McConaughey, the what is Jill's title now?
Straight.
Yeah, magistrate.
Yeah.
And she had pretty much said that should be required for every attorney. Now she's just the magistrate, but
Okay.
might be something you would want to check on.
Yeah, I'll send him an email today.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's a good catch. If
Yeah,
she's
thank you.
You can't.
Can't require, but advise, strongly suggest.
Okay, so, and then that leads me into the ME review, unless you guys have any questions.
I do really quick back on the SNAP
Okay.
review that you guys our audit that you guys are having in May. Is the state doing that or is the feds doing that?
That is the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many cases are they going to pull? Do you know?
I don't know right now. I think they usually pull around, what we've seen for dues was around 4 cases.
Okay.
Because we're a small county.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Carmen, I'm glad to hear that the attorney switch over is going smooth and that you guys are liking that.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, we are too. It's great. We're really excited to have them on board.
And it sounds like you've got a good staff, as you have had, and they're doing well. So good to hear.
Yes, they're amazing.
Tell them we really appreciate it.
I will for sure. Okay. So our MA review, I kind of send you guys a list of some things so you see kind of what we see. So basically what happens, just so those that don't know, is that like in the instance of Medicaid, or HIGPUF, I should say, will come in and say, hey, these are some things that we met with you guys when we came into your office or virtually met with you, and we have questions about. So sometimes they'll pull things in the background. Sometimes they'll ask us like, hey, can you provide this? Or they just straight up just ask us questions, about certain processes. So with the access to interpreter service ACF FY 24-25-21, that one was regarding our contract with, oh gosh, now my brain just left me.
Language line.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Language line.
Yes, with the language line. So we had to provide them with the contract for language line, but we've had language line for years and years and years. So finding that original contract was an issue. We couldn't find it immediately, so we reached out to language line. We finally got a hold of them. It took a little bit, and they did provide us a contract. So that's why we had a issue with that one. Now if I can get my thing to scroll down. So we did have, and as you can see, corrective kind is not, if not cured, we were able to provide them with that contract. So that's great. We're good there. Also with the county, that goes with the ACF FY 24-25-22. Those are kind of the same thing. As long as we have that contract, we're good to go. Let's see. And then, sorry, I'm scrolling down here.
Really quick on, sorry, on the two that you're talking about with language line, one of the part of the or what I'm reading here is that we didn't have somebody for sign language. Does language line provide the sign language, or are we having to find somebody else?
We will actually are going to have to find somebody else.
Okay.
Right now, we can do what we have, and that's like using our different devices to help assist with that. But if you have somebody that needs, maybe can't see and can't hear either, we have to be able to find some way to communicate.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, that was a good question. Thank you. So the resending of Medicaid assistance applications. So we did do a training on this because this was new things that came out. We did send them the information that we did the training, but then they wanted a date on it with everybody's signature on it. We sent them the date, and then they wanted an agenda. So it kind of got really, I don't know. It's done now. Let's just say that. And then with citation, we did get cited with FCF FY 24-25-24. Lisa and Danny did work on this, and they got this resolved. So we're good there. They were awesome with that. And then with ACF FY 24-25-23, know your rights. We heard throughout the state this was an issue. So we weren't the only ones that got dinged. This was one of the #1 issues across the state because HCPF does not provide the posters, but they want it in a certain font, a certain way, and they wouldn't really send us that information. So every time we sent pictures, like, nope, that's not right. Nope, that's not right. And rather than just sending us a poster or sending us language that they wanted to use, it was really, really frustrating. I'll be honest with that, with this poster. But that has been taken care of. We have sent pictures, and they said that we are good to go now with that one. Let's see. Let's see. I think that was the same one. It's the same thing with ACF FY 24-25-22. It's just different language that the state HCPF wanted, but again, did not send their posters. They just said, hey, make sure this information's on there. Oh, wait, that's not the right font. Oh, wait, add this. Same thing. It's done. Pictures are sent. And then that EPE FY 24-25-5. We did have training on that. An agenda was sent, and all the information and who attended that was also sent to the state. So we're good. So with any of our plans, there is an accountability that anytime anything comes out, it will be trained, and that's where Bree will actually come in. So if we missed anything, she'll be able to come in and say, hey, let's do this quick training on this, help assist us with that. And then we'll be covered with that. And it will be, you know, she'll be able to build like skills and anything that we're lacking. Our eligibility team is pretty awesome and on top of it, but she's just going to add to that, I feel like.
And you said that you're paying Bree through this HICPUP grant, right?
Correct. And we'll be able to also, with some of that, pay, you know, staff if it's beyond their 40.
Okay.
Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense? Okay.
It does.
Any questions, concerns?
Carmen, discussion of ME review. What? Tell me what ME is.
It's a management review evaluation from HICPUF.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
E.
Evaluation.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
sorry. I'm a little slow. Okay.
And so what, just so you know, the Medicaid state agency passed a new package of rules with over 15 individual requirements across the state. That's how big it is right now.
Mm.
And do you know if that's based off of what's coming down from the feds with HR1? Is that what that's a product of?
I believe so. Let me ask her to get the right, but yes, I believe so. Let's see. Is
Okay.
it,
Alrighty. Yes, ma'am, you had a question.
Carmen, can you send me a copy of your notes? This is Christy.
yes, I told, yes, I will do that.
All right.
I told Sean I would do that as well. So
All right. Thanks.
you're welcome. Any other questions or anything? And Jen, if you have any questions when Bree is here or any of you BOCC, you're more than welcome, I believe, to join that. Join any of her trainings or anything like that she does. I'll kind of send you all an email on that and what she's going to be providing for us. But she did get back to me. She said that no, but it's a lot of federal compliance that she's going to be covering with us.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that makes me happy.
I was gonna say, and that's good.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she's amazing. I don't know if you ever met her, Jen, or not.
Think so, but I don't know. There's been some that have been popping up in my life from my days as a director that have been asking questions. So I might know her. I don't know.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. So, okay. Yeah. Any other questions or anything for me?
No, just thank you and your staff for working so hard on that ME review. I know it gets frustrating with HICPUP because they don't know what they're doing half the time. So I appreciate you guys sticking with it and following through and getting it resolved. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you. Anything else?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn as the Social Services Board.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn as the Board of Social Services
And reconvene.
and reconvene our regular meeting.
I second.
So I have a motion and a second to adjourn the Board of Social Services and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. Would you please do roll call?
Overton,
Aye.
Stritchfield,
Aye.
O'Haron.
Aye.
All righty. So moving on to other business, number 1, our budget to actual reports. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, good. Let me see if I can. Share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? The PowerPoint presentation?
We can.
Okay, good. So I sent you guys some budget to actual information for each of the funds last Friday, and you should have had that in your packet. Some of the key items you should pay attention to when you're looking at those schedules and as you're going through this presentation is that this is through February. So this is 2 months of the year I'm reporting on. And the recurring operating expenses for the year should be at about 16.7% of annual budget. So when you're looking at payroll and things like that, 2 months into the year, that's where you should be. Because there were 3 payroll dates in January, those expenses are moving closer to, they're showing up about 20% of budget rather than 16.7%. And that's because you have 26 pay periods throughout the year rather than 24. So that's hitting about right as well. It's right with budget. Central services are at about 100%. Those charges, if you look at each of the funds, the central services charges are 100% because those insurance premiums get paid early in the year. And so everybody's already made those payments to the central services fund. Property taxes will show up well below budget because most of the property taxes are collected after February or late in February through about June. Sales and use tax, they're running at about 7 to 8% of budget, which is expected. And that's because those taxes are generally collected a month in arrears. So everything that's being collected in February is for January, and everything that will be collected in March will be for February. And so it always lags a little bit. And everything that was collected in January was moved back to 2025 and is recognized as a receivable and a revenue in that year. Here's just an overview of the general fund and where it stands as of February 28th. So there's about $936,000 in revenue, which is about 8.3% of budget. And a lot of the revenue in the general fund is tax revenue. And so that tracks correctly. Expenditures are about 17% of budget, which we would also expect. And then the fund balance in the general fund as of February 28th is about $39 million. And then you can see kind of the highlights of how that breaks down below. So you'll notice that personnel costs are about 17%, purchase services about 9.8%. Interfund charges, again, are about 50%, and that's because they've paid everything to central services. And then the transfers out have also been made by the end of January or the end of February. And if you'll notice on the revenues too, that also tracks with what I just told you, where the taxes lag behind a little bit and are a little bit smaller, but interest earnings is tracking with where you would expect it to be. Road and Bridge Fund. They've collected about 4.3% of total revenue. They're at about 10.1% of expenditures, and fund balance is at about 11.3 million. The reason for variances in the Road and Bridge Fund is because they have a lot budgeted for capital outlay this year. And so those expenses are a little bit more volatile. They're not going to be consistent from month to month, but as the construction activity ramps up and is completed, then that budget will be used pretty quickly. And here's a look at the special revenue funds. So these are all those other little governmental funds that have specialized revenue sources that can only be used for specific things. Human services, use tax, public health, and conservation trust all fall under that category. And human services is the one that is probably skewed the most, and that's because the budgeted revenues and expenses also include those EBT revenues and expenses that are spent on behalf of the Department of Human Services, but flow through the state. So the biggest item there would be SNAP. So as we get those reports, we'll update that too, probably at least quarterly, to show what those EBT charges are for the fund. And then here are the capital and trust funds. So the County Capital Improvement Trust Fund, the fund balance is about $22.8 million. Capital Improvement Plan Fund, about 1.7 million, and then capital expenditures, about 13,000. And there's been very little activity in the capital funds as of this point in the year. So they're both under budget significantly. And then the County Capital Improvement Trust Fund, it has some expenditures there, but I think those, I'm going to delve into that a little bit more. I think those are actually attributed to last year. So those will probably move back to the December financial statements. And then here are the enterprise and internal service funds. So these are all those funds that act like a business. And then the internal service funds, which are fleet management and central services, are also included here. And you can see where central services is about 80 to 100% of budget for revenues and expenditures for the year because of their big insurance payments early in the year. Does anybody have any questions for me so far on any of this information?
Nope, looking good.
Okay. I was going to report to you too on the American Rescue Plan funds that the county has been spending over the last 3 or 4 years. Get back to my slide. We did do the final LATCF reporting. So it's those local assistance and tribal consistency fund monies. We did that reporting in March. We've got about $961,000 left to spend. And we budgeted about $900,000 of that for the 2026 budget. And then in April, the final report will be done for those SLRF funds. And those were entirely spent also in 2025. So that will be completed and those funds won't be a reporting issue going forward. And those funds in 2025 were used primarily for IT and security upgrades by the communications fund and also the IT department.
Lisa, the LATCF, so if we were to spend right at the 900 that we budgeted, but we've got another 61,000, when does that have to be used?
There is currently no end date for the LATCF funds, so they can be used at any time.
Okay, perfect.
If you will recall, when last year we had that discussion about we were going to hold off and not spend those funds. They were kind of like the CCICF funds reserved, but there was significant concern through most of the counties that there could be that clawback.
Right.
And that's why it was better to go ahead and use those and spend those down. Not to say that there couldn't be a clawback at this point, but it's probably a little more unlikely. But we were concerned that that would get dozed.
Right. That's what I was thinking we might have an end date. So, okay. All right. Thank you.
And that's all I had. If you guys have any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer them.
I just beat you to your slide. Sorry.
I would just like to say Lisa's doing a phenomenal job. Of course, you can tell how well she puts things together. Eric and myself and Lisa will have a meeting Thursday. Is it Wednesday or Thursday?
It's Thursday.
Thursday to go over some of his projects and some things that we need to wrap up. So anyhow, she's doing a phenomenal job. Hugs and kisses, Lisa.
Thank you.
And she just makes it sound so easy.
I know, right?
Well, thank you. I've done my job then.
Yeah,
That's right.
and you put it in a format that I can understand. So thank you.
Okay. Good.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. So we will move to other business number 2, discussion of possible change of the regularly scheduled Board of Commissioner meeting dates. So we wanted to look at this possibility because where we've been on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month, we conflict somewhat with Rose's position, and then also looking farther down the year, I think that was going to catch us on Thanksgiving and Christmas weeks as well. So, and I know there was some other reasonings, but some conversation about making those changes. So what is everybody's thoughts?
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine. It's because we're moving our accounts payable situation, it doesn't matter with that anymore. So I'm good with it.
And we would have, okay, so what I'd like to see is that we do the work session, just right, our work session in the morning before we do the board meeting. So back to the old days, and it's been a while, but I can just remember coming to the commissioner meetings when I was with the conservation districts. If we had something that was going to be on the agenda, we could have a good conversation about it during work session in the morning. And then the commissioners made a formal decision at the board meeting in the afternoon. So that is something that, again, I was from the outside at that point, but it looked like it worked well. Any thoughts on that piece?
Yes, I'm glad, I would like us to have the work sessions before the meeting, because when I started as a commissioner, that's how it was.
Okay.
And it was always nice to have those conversations with staff or even an outside agency so that we could have that conversation of why we were doing what we were doing on our agenda. So I personally like that idea and bringing that back so that we can start having those conversations. The only thing that I would say is that, and this is just feedback that I've received, because we have changed our meetings so much in the last few months. We start at 9, we start at 1, we're like switching it so much that people are constantly getting confused. And I've had that feedback from a handful of people, even myself, constantly going and checking the agenda because I don't know what time we're starting as a commissioner, and that's not good. So the consistency, I think, would be nice to have it that way. I would just say we need to give the public at least a month's time to get caught up to where we're at, because we have been changing it so much that what I would propose is we don't make those changes until the public gets caught up with us until May. I know that I don't know where you two are at with that, but that was my thought process just for our constituency and transparency with them, so that it gives them an opportunity to get caught up with our changes.
Thoughts?
I'm fine with that. That's cool.
And so that would be,
And I guess the other question that I have really quick, Madam Chair, is, can I go?
yes, go ahead.
I just would want to make sure that there's no already pre-hearings that have already been noticed in May. I guess that's a question that I have, because that, I know that there was one in April already that Leaf had already done, and that was part of even my other thinking on this. was that I wanted to make sure that he had, or even any other public hearings that we need to do that aren't done or that aren't already posted in.
If
Yes,
I
ma'am.
may, we currently do not have any other public notices or public meetings that I'm aware of scheduled yet, but we do have, we have a CDOT meeting on May 25th. So,
That's a Monday.
yeah, so that's Memorial Day. So I'm trying to figure out when we actually scheduled it for.
Could we possibly move CDOT to one of our work sessions?
Don't know that we can. It was like 5 months out to get them scheduled. I was trying to schedule all the way back in January, February.
We can just try.
So
And
we
if
can
we can't,
try,
then
but-
it'll just be,
We'll keep that one.
they
where it's
do
at.
their annual report. So a lot of that you're probably getting in your other meetings,
Mhm.
especially Jennifer on the,
Northwest TPR
yes,
and stack.
and stack, yes. So
So
we'll attempt that.
I had them scheduled for June 24.
Oh, June,
Oh, so,
which is a Wednesday anyway.
yeah.
So, okay.
So I think we're good.
So along with that and the scheduling efforts, because we were running Chrissy totally ragged, trying to get everybody's schedules for work sessions. I think where we've tried to go to every Tuesday, so the Tuesdays that we have commissioner meetings, the work session will be in the mornings, so it's before the board meeting. But on the off Tuesdays, it worked for our schedules to do from 3 to 5. So that is our standard work sessions are on Tuesdays. And so we're not trying to, Chrissy's running ragged, trying to get everybody, because by the time she got the 4 of us, plus whoever else was needing to come to it, she didn't get anything else done. So, I appreciate everybody working to make that work. I think it's going to be very good. Then it's like, okay, the one thing we have to do is whoever's thinking, okay, so the next Tuesday, but we have to check with Chrissy to see how full that calendar is and make sure that we don't schedule stuff without going through Chrissy first. We need to make sure that she's got plenty of time in those. So I think it's worked quite well the last couple of weeks doing that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So could we ask for because we have to do that through a resolution. Is that right?
Rose is on, but I believe
Rose, that's what I understand is we need to do a resolution to change our meeting dates and times.
Madam Chair, yes, I would do it by resolution.
Okay. So whether it's you or Vicky that does that, could we ask for that to be on our agenda next meeting, which is
4/14.
April 14th.
Absolutely.
This is one of those times it's gonna be 3 weeks before we have a meeting, so look out agenda. It'll be a big one again. So yeah, on the 14th. Okay, okay. Thank you. Next one, oh my. Other business number 3, discussion of our wildland urban interface codes. We call those the WUI. I will just say, yes, I have been dragging my feet on that one. I don't want to do it, but we need to understand some legalities with that. So we had a little bit of conversation on that with our work session earlier this week. We had asked Rose to get us a little bit more information because we've got conflicting information. As one question is, if we adopt these codes, do they impact, do we have to then update our building codes and energy codes? So Rose, have you been able to find anything on that for us?
I haven't gotten quite the confirmation I'm looking for, so just give me a little bit more time. Hopefully by the end of today, I'll have that to you. But I just want to make sure we are all on the same page as to whether or not we have to update those codes. And I don't want it to be just hearsay. I want it. So hopefully I'll have that today.
Okay, I'm with you. We got to know that 100%. So, okay, thank you. So what other questions do you guys have? And what else did we ask you for, Rose? I didn't have my list entirely.
Well, I'm struggling with this WUI stuff because on one hand, I'm being told that we have to do it. And if it's going to make us come forward with our building codes, boy, I'm going to be very, very hard pressed to do it.
I would agree with you on that.
So I'm just going to wait and see and hope.
Okay. I had thought of the other question that we had Rose looking up for us, I think. Yes, go ahead, Vicki.
I believe the questions that came out of that meeting was whether, what happens if we adopt, what if we don't adopt, or what if we adopt as a limited, Jennifer, you're the one that had
What
that
that term
verbiage,
was.
the
Partial or
partial,
limited?
minimal.
Adopting minimally those codes. I mean, at the minimum, what do we have to adopt? And so I did get a response from both Park County Commissioner as well as Teller County. Both of them got back with me. They still haven't sent me anything. They're supposed to send me what they've adopted so far. And I'm just waiting for that email so that I can forward that on to Leaf and Matt, as well as Rose, and look and do the comparisons to make sure that we're not doing more than what they ask. But I'm going to go back to what Doug was saying, where if we do adopt these and we have to change our 2006 codes, I will be a hard pressed no on it.
Well, and so I think that so the public understands, I mean, this is putting us in a tough spot. Let's just assume for a minute, and I have my fingers crossed that we don't have to either, and that, but if we assume that we have to update those codes, the amount of money that will cost homeowners and builders between those two codes is going to be crazy. So therefore, I absolutely would not want to do it. On the other hand, we understand, and I don't think this is paranoia. I think it's reasonably realistic to anticipate that given our governor, our fire danger for the upcoming years, as well as what we've already endured last year. If I understand it right, 2 years ago, I remember sitting in a commissioner meeting where Anthony brought forward a bill that was 4 years old from the state on a fire that it took them that long to figure out what we owed. I don't know what fire that was, but we're looking down the road another 3 years roughly to learn what we may or may not have to pay on the fire that was last year. If we,
Well, that's not necessarily true, because they've already obligated themselves to pay all of that. They didn't on the one before. There was a percentage. This one that we just got through with, the state and the feds have obligated themselves to pay, picking up the whole thing.
okay, I'm hopeful on that one for sure. So is there anything we have in writing that way? Does Anthony, I mean, I've not heard anything that way.
Not that I'm aware of.
And so, I mean, I'm with you, Doug. That was our understanding, 100%. But I just, so let's just look forward for a minute. How close we came to another fire this weekend because a ditch got out of control. And that's just one. And so what happens the next time? I'm not worried about other grants from the state. If he wants to withhold other grants, it's the fires that have me concerned. And while we have 40 million, almost 40 million in our bank, it wouldn't take very long to wipe that out. And so we have to consider those things as we proceed.
So what Callie is saying in a nutshell is that if we don't accept the WUI and go forward with that, there's a possibility that the governor can say, you are not helping us, and so we're not going to help you. That possibility is out
Is
there.
real. Yeah. I had a conversation with one of the main builders last night for about 30 minutes who did go to, and is Matt on or Leaf?
No.
Okay.
Well, they are, but they're live streaming.
Okay. So, and they can communicate with anybody. So anyway, I visited with one of the builders and he was actually going to try to get me a cost. I probably should look at my phone, of what it would, potentially cost just for this WUI one. And that's, and the other piece that he was really frustrated with, because he went to the training that he said roughly was 5 hours worth. There's so many unknowns. They don't know what they will or won't do. And so the example that he gave me that was, let's say, garage doors. Okay, so I think it's two, if they're wanting it to hold for an hour, I think hold the fire out of the house for an hour. There are no garage doors today, listening according to him, that will withstand that. So the state says, so we are exempting that. So garage doors as of today are exempt because there aren't any materials that will protect it that way. I think that through the our website experience, the ADA compliance, when you have a law that comes into place and we're trying to figure out how to make this happen, somebody's going to come up with a material that will work, and they're going to patent it. And you are looking at 3, 4, 5 times the cost of that door for the one that will work. And the state then is going to adopt, that's what you have to do. So, just understand we're in a tight spot, tough spot. We have to decide, if I understand right, Rose, have you heard any different as far as the bill that's out there to delay this?
It's being heard today.
Oh, it even does
No, the last information. I'm sorry.
I just was saying that Katie First from CCI sent an email yesterday saying that it was going to be heard today.
Yeah, but it won't get through the whole process. I believe it would take a lot to get it through the whole process before April 1st. So just keep that in mind. The legislature doesn't work that fast normally.
unless they want to.
Unless they do that.
And this one is one of those that, if I understand it right, it's leadership who was pushed the initial one through. So the chances of them letting this move very fast, if they don't get it killed today or in the near future, is slim. So what we have done is we have a special meeting scheduled for March 31st that's putting it to the very last day that we can make a decision for a special meeting for this effort. So we will, I think, probably have a resolution that goes both directions. Well, 2 different resolutions.
Yeah.
That says we adopt it, and one that says we don't adopt it, so that we can continue to gather information and make that final decision on March 31st. Because that, it's just it's a tough spot to be in.
If we do decide our corn pigeonholed into doing it, there's a map out there, and we definitely will make the request to change the map, because the map, in our opinion, is ridiculous. And there are procedures to change the map and take some areas out of the WUI that are in the WUI right now. And that affects Rangeley more than it does our end of the county. And that's, in my opinion, silly. So I just, go ahead.
To add to that, because I would like to see us appeal those maps even before we adopt the codes. So I know during our work session, we talked about a possible asking for an extension from the state, and maybe we jump on that sooner than later until we get more information. And I'm going to stand corrected, and I'm forwarding this to everybody. Park County did get me their information, so I'm sending it out to everybody, and I included you in on the email, so you should be getting that. So she didn't answer directly if they are going to, the way I read her email is that they're not changing theirs, their 2018 codes, but they're not changing them. But then they've adopted this. So anyway, just, it's a little confusing. But do we have direct staff to get that extension requested so that we, you know, that April 1st deadline? I mean, according to what I remember Rose saying at that work session, is that there's really no consequences if the April 1st date goes by. Is that correct, Rose? That you really didn't read anything that there would be a slap on the hand or whatever?
No, and I'll take another look just to confirm. Like I said, I'm trying to put all the pieces together so I can give you a good legal opinion. But there's nothing that that I can recall. But the grant piece is one that even if they don't write that in, if you're not in compliance, they could potentially use against you. So just something to think about. But I'll get you an opinion that has all of that laid out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So Rose, do you recommend that we do, and who would need to reach out to see if we can get an extension, and for the purpose of the map, you know, redoing considering the map and so forth, and how do we proceed with that?
If there is no penalty for not doing it by the 1st, why do we need an extension?
Well,
according to the conversation that's, because I asked the question during a CCI legislative brief of, has there been any counties out there that have requested an extension? And pretty much I didn't get my answer, except for the counties that have already adopted said, and one of them particularly said with Clear Creek, and it was a Clear Creek County Commissioner that said, the state is okay as long as they know that you're working on it. And so even if you don't adopt it, that's the way I understood what he was saying to me, is that as long as they know that you guys are working on it, that there would be no consequences. But I want to hear from Rose if there is going to be those consequences.
Or the state, rather.
Or the state, right.
Yeah.
And I don't see any harm in asking for an extension. Matt has those contacts at the state. And if you all know what you want to appeal, I think getting that ball rolling now, regardless, it won't hurt anything. And then I could put this legal memo together, and then you all can make a decision from there. But I don't think it hurts to ask for the extension if that's what you all want, and tell them that you're going to appeal the map. And if you know what those areas are, telling them now. And like I said, Matt's got those contacts at the state that he's been working through.
Well, the only thing about an extension is, and I'm okay for doing an extension if we can do one for like 25 years. But if we tell them we want a 30-day extension, that puts us right back in the same thing we're at right now. We obligate ourselves.
so I would And I understand that unless if there's a piece of or two of information we're still waiting on, that's why to ask them for the extension is, in my opinion. It's not to just delay it, because I will tell you that our contractors are asking what's the decision, because I'm bidding building houses, and I need to know whether I'm bidding at this rate or at this rate. And so we need to get it done sooner than later. So I would say if the map piece, or there isn't another piece, we're still waiting on information, I don't know that we need that. So I guess, Rose, do you feel reasonably confident that you'd be able to have all the pieces? And what about the map, I guess, is the question in regards to extension.
Yeah, the map piece is a map question. I don't know what you all are appealing on your map. But, you know, I think I can reach out to my contacts to get enough good information to kind of give you some information. But Commissioner Overton, to your point, I don't know that the extension is to adopt. I think the extension is to gather some additional information and ask about the appeal process of the map. I mean, I think that there's a way to frame it so it doesn't obligate you to adopt or not to adopt, but still gives you some fact-finding time so that you all can make the right decision, or what you feel is the right decision for your constituents. So I don't know that the extension puts you in a corner, as long as we're clear that we're still trying to gather information to make a good decision.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, so one other consideration that the board and that the community needs to take into effect is the possible cost of insurance. Now, when I went to the SEMA conference, they had an insurance lady that from whatever this little flyer is from United Policyholders. And it talked about how they don't cancel, an insurance company won't cancel you, they just don't renew groups of people. And that's what happened in Rangeley, this one part of the area, they just didn't renew. State Farm didn't. They didn't renew areas in Meeker. So there's a high liability or high probability that whether we adopt the WUI or not, there will be homes that will be uninsurable.
But there is a state insurance program that will insure your house.
But not for the full value. So it's only going to be limited amounts, and it's going to be very expensive. So as a private policy holder, you're going to be better to try and get your own insurance. It's an impact. It'll be an impact to it. And yes, there is a state fund that everybody pays into. When you pay your insurance, a portion of that fund goes into this bucket to insure homes. But depending on what that size of home is and how much it is, it's kind of like the FEMA bucket, from what I understand. If you lose your home in an incident, FEMA has to replace it. You're getting $36,000. So that will be a true cost, whether we adopt or don't adopt. There could be more insurance companies that will pull out of the area.
And again, in my conversation with the builder, and I don't know where he was getting his information, but he said, you know, the insurance piece may not be as huge right now, but within a year or two, whether he had heard it or he's just envisioning it, the possibility that those little areas that they draw a circle around that we don't insure here, it would be around the county that we don't insure here. And we know of multiple homeowners that have already been canceled, and they're getting be fewer and further between.
They've just not been renewed.
Same thing.
She made it very clear. It's not canceled. It's non-renewed.
It's same thing. So those are all things that we have to take into consideration.
So we want to hear from the public. Please call us. And I mean, especially if this is going to impact you, we want to hear from you. I mean, because it is a tough decision.
Our PR person is here and been listening to all of this.
She's making a note on that.
Can we get something in the paper that explains our quagmire or whatever however you want to say it? We are in a pickle.
And I think we encourage them to call their state legislators. Because that's who's put us in this position.
Can I say something? I was on the Colorado Weed Management Association site this morning and they have a section on legislation that's going through. There's a House bill. I can't remember the number. I think it's 1310. And it is, they want to take, there's a wildland fire reclamation grant for like reseeding and noxious weeds. They're taking money from that and putting into a grant for wildland home building grant. Like in a wildland, if it got burned or in a susceptible area.
Noxious weeds are not a problem. Thank you. Is Reese still on? We'll have to ask Reese.
Yeah, he'll
Pick up on that one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jane. Okay. Any other questions, comments, frustrations on this topic?
Last question is, we had originally mentioned about having another like public work session in the evening so that you could possibly draw more attention. Is that something that you want to do at both ends of the county? Is that something you want to do virtual? Are you thinking you still want to do that?
I think there may be definite value in doing it. I want to be sure that we have as many of our questions answered as we can before we do that.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
And our time's getting short. We have 1 week.
Yeah, and that's hardly enough time to figure out if the public would come to it. We would just have to try it. But before I forget it, can we get information on the state's insurance program so that we're not just guessing about that?
Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll do some research for you.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't know.
So stay tuned. Let's see, it would be a special meeting. We could do, I guess, Vicki, to answer that question, could we do, it's a special meeting, so we would be doing public comment at the beginning of that meeting, so people could come and do comment, right? On the 31st. Okay, so let's make sure people know that they are welcome to come and provide comment and be there and hear what we know at that point.
And yes, I will do all this. One thing to note right now, we're missing the deadline to get in next week's paper, which will be after the 1st. So, but okay, you're assuming this will be delayed and
there's nothing to do about that. We'll have to do what we can.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to do anything by the 1st anyway.
okay, but we can get something in the paper and Facebook soon.
That we will have the meeting on the 31st. We have to make a decision one way or the other.
And we did decide 2:00 is what you're meeting on the 31st. Jen had
2:00.
I didn't text her. Sorry, I text her.
I think Chrissy
Time
set
had
that
opened
up.
up for me, so 2:00 we can start earlier. You know, you guys were wanting to.
Okay.
If you want to start
That would be
earlier,
good.
since you have other, okay.
Yes, because I
So
think
at
it
2:00 on 3/31.
Alrighty. Well, that doesn't make my day. Anyway. Okay. All right. And I don't think we have Reese on yet either, but discussion on proposed legislation. Do you have anything other than what Jane brought up as the potential 1310?
I think
Okay.
there were several of them.
I personally missed the legislative session meetings last week because of overlapping meetings and tours. So I don't have anything burning on my agenda.
The only one that I want to bring up, and I just emailed Kevin with CCI. They are bringing back around the Social Security income, which, foster care youth, where they are wanting to put those dollars, because right now, those dollars go to pay for their care. So if they're in foster care, their Social Security income goes to pay for their care in foster care. Right now, what they're wanting to do, and they brought this bill last year, it didn't go anywhere, so they brought it back again this year. And I was asking if it's been heard or is going to be heard, because it wasn't on my list for Friday. That they are wanting to put that in a savings account for the foster care youth instead of it going to pay for care for the foster care person or child. And which would mean that then the state and the county are going to have to pay more for that care because it reduces that cost. And instead they are wanting in a savings account. Part of the conversation, so I attended a meeting that I was invited to by the sponsor of this bill. And there was a couple of things brought up by directors across the state. One being that, try to remember. So one, they said that they can't put it in a savings account, that the Social Security doesn't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't go to that foster care youth once they leave the system, was one of the concerns that one of the directors brought up. The other one was just the amount of time that it takes staff to even get through Social Security and applying for Social Security. And so if we're adding another layer of them having to now set up even a savings account on top of trying to get them on Social Security, then those administrative costs come down to the county. Because right now the state is saying, we're not giving you any more administrative money. Like, we don't have it, we're in debt, we're not giving you any more. So then that cost is going to trickle down to the county. So that was another concern that was brought up during that conversation. So I didn't get to attend the one with the actual sponsor, which was the next day. I was already double booked that day during that time, so I didn't. And so I emailed Kevin to ask him if we are going to be discussing that at all on Friday during our Health and Human Services Steering Committee with CCI. So we'll see if it dies again this year or not. So that's the only other one that I wanted to bring up today.
You have any, Doug?
No.
So, just following up on our favorite bills, 1008 on the outdoor, right here. It's to be heard in the Senate on Thursday. It's called the Colorado Outdoors Opportunities Act. It was the first one that we took a position to oppose. It did pass the House. It is up in Senate Ag and Natural Resources this Thursday at 1:30. I have asked Reese to be sure that we testify on it. We had a little bit of miscommunications last time and missed it in the House. I will tell you, for those that I don't know of anybody that supports it. Everybody remains in a monitoring position because they know they can't stop it. So they're just being in a monitoring position. But I will tell you, I've heard multiple commissioners and others that are questioning it even a little harder after the last CPW commission meeting, because what it's doing is giving CPW and commission more, I don't know, it really doesn't do anything except add 9 staff over the next 2 years, but they're saying it gives them a little more authority over recreation. And based on the last CPW commission meeting, there are some people that have got a little more heartburn with that. So I don't know if they'll get it shut down. We don't think we will.
AG&C, I told them that we were opposed to it and they chose to amend it because they don't think it's gonna be that big a deal, but I disagree because it is a small, they may not think it's much, but it's just another nip, another little claw at CPW that just goes more and more. And, Jen, you were right, it's 1310. I found it on Reese's, Rio Blanco County tracker, and Rio Blanco County is opposed to it.
So I'm gonna add on to what you were saying, Doug, because even at CCI, we made sure we were the only county that opposed that bill at CCI. And Kelly asked a really good question because we had presenters there. And Kelly was asking them some pretty direct, detailed questions, and they could not answer them. And if they're not organized and able to answer those questions at the state level, then help me understand and help us understand why we would be agreeing with this bill, monitor or amend, because they don't even know what they're doing at this point.
Mm-mm.
And that was frustrating to me as Kelly was kind of grilling them.
I don't think it's necessary. I think they're dabbling in stuff that is just not necessary. They're doing stuff with the legislature that it's just.
And I'm very frustrated because it's Representative Lukens that's sponsoring the bill. And she knew from the get-go where we stood on that bill. But
if other counties aren't, then.
So, also, but Doug, you're right. It is on Reese's tracker, but the good news is 1310 is postponed indefinitely. So it's a dead duck.
Oh, yay.
The other one is the ownership of ag data. I don't remember exactly what that was, but it's postponed indefinitely as well.
I didn't see that. And there it is right there.
I know. I had to double take it too. The good news is there were two agriculture overtime bills. There was one from the original sponsors of that was trying to reduce the amount of time that agriculture workers could work without doing overtime. That got killed, and they passed the one that the agriculture groups were running, which is
one was 40 hours that got killed, and the 60 hours got approved.
Right, 121 is the one that has passed the Senate. It's now on to the House, so Reese will continue to monitor and.
Yeah, and to my point, that's another place where they just don't need to be dabbling in that. It just they're going to pinch us in a corner, and the more they do that.
Again, I stay focused a lot on those ag and natural resources, but the extreme temperatures, worker protections, House Bill 1272 is yet to be heard. And again, I think that Reese has got this up to date, it looks like. That one is not good, yet to be through committee. So we'll keep focusing on that. There was another possibility that I wanted to. So from CCI, I've been serving on those renewable committee meetings. The governor is determined to run some kind of a bill on renewables, the siting of renewable energy that basically would overrun county authority.
The 1041 powers?
Yeah. The Renewable Energy Association, can't think what their name is, but they had told the governor they are going to work with counties, CCI. And so it's been 2 months worth of meetings, at least, that we've been meeting and working back and forth with them. Bottom line is we didn't come up with a bill that everybody was comfortable with yet. And so they came to CCI at the last committee meeting and said, we would like to continue to work on this for the summer and find a solution, and tell the governor we ask him to back off and wait as well. We'll see how that goes.
Which one of his staff was there? Governors.
The governor's staff was not there.
They
It's just been, the energy companies. NGO or their, association that's been speaking, that presented to us. CCI staff has been doing that discussion. And we were talking about whether we should go with them to the governor's office to say, we want you to hold off. We kind of felt like it needed to be two different meetings and tell them the same message. So that's where CCI staff is working on it. I think that is all that I have on that. Anything else? Okay. So, Vicki, County Administrator update.
So for my update, I'm actually going to cede some time to both Lynn Lockwood, our Public Information Coordinator, and to our new Emergency Manager, Rich Garner. So guys, do you want to come up here? Are you going to do it from back there? Do you
I
have?
was hoping I could do it from here so I could show you.
Sure,
the new website.
that's fine. You can see yourself.
Is that all right? So.
And I will say, both of them have dug in and are covered up. We're keeping them busy, so.
It worked. Okay. So this is going to be the prototype for our new website. And this is something I've been working on with Vicki and Tina, Chrissy, and Ronnie, with some back-end IT advice. So when you're looking at this, right now you're going to see a picture of Meeker. Everything you're seeing on here, just pay attention to the structure and the colors and the fonts. I will never put just a picture of Meeker on the Rio Blanco County website.
Thank you.
It will be, I'm hoping, a slideshow or a 7-second video loop, just showing off different aspects of the county and changing it up seasonally. So yeah, just right now, please just look at the structure. There you go. Can you see my mouse on this?
Oh, it's on a different page. That's one.
Two mouses going. She's confused.
Sorry about this. This is confusing. I have with all these things open. So now I'm going to here and show you.
One of the things, well, I'll fill in some space while she's doing that part, is part of the ADA legislation that we talked about, where they've really made some pullback of that. But however, now you have the federal legislation that has stepped up, not quite to what Colorado standards were, but still getting up there. So both this website actually meets both the federal and the state guidelines, where our previous website that we currently are operating under could not even meet the federal guidelines. So we are doing this as part of that to meet that ADA accessibility. But it is a little bit cheaper also. And, you know, it's going to be fresher. Lynn's worked really hard on this. And I think Revise is the right company. So I'm glad we chose them.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, this is both with the, I've got my screen over here that's broadcasting and this one here. So sorry about that. I hope I don't make you seasick. So everything on here again, like all of this government, all of these things we can change. And that's what we'll be developing over the next few weeks is the structure. So I'll be going around with all the different departments, looking at everything we're going to migrate. We're going to leave a lot of it behind. If it's old or redundant, we'll make it clean and build out what we need again. So we'll have a section right here where we'll have news and announcements. So this would be the kind of place where I could put your WUI meeting or just things that maybe we could get a news release up before waiting for next Thursday, that kind of thing.
Excellent.
Here's where we'll have events and meetings. Now this will interface with the feature that Chrissy and I are really hoping works the way that we think it will. It will have an agenda builder. It will make her life easier and also structure the packages so people can click on these links. When they click on this Board of Commissioner meetings, they should get a pop-up map of where it is, of Meeker, Rangeley, and it'll be packaged and have links to agenda minutes and things in there. So these,
So Lynn, real quickly, so will it have, so it has the agenda, but then is it let's just say it's a contract or something. Do they have access to the contract or they don't?
and we haven't trained up on that with them yet, but it was my understanding we can choose what is shown. That there can be things that can be made, not published or made public, but linked in there. So I don't wanna go there until we're trained up on it, but
Right,
that
to know
was
what
the
we
way
can.
I remembered it.
Okay.
So,
They did say that we would have to have it as ADA, like any PDFs and
Yeah.
anything that's in there, we have to have remediated in order for it to be accessible, and to follow the law. So that might have,
Have some impact.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, and right now you just see where these are. There's a widget that I can put in here that will put our 3 most current Facebook posts or something that we want to highlight. Nice for people who don't have Facebook, then they can still see what's happening there. So that is our front page. And
Can I just point out, so on the front page, Lynn, if you'd scroll up to the top, the current website basically was the main landing page had a few buttons, but it didn't really have this content where you can just scroll down and see the most important things on one page. You had to click and go to another page, click to go to another page. So these having this hot buttons that can go to certain places. And then if you scroll down, having the calendar and the hot news there, I think will be a good progress for us. I think it'll be nice.
So along that line, don't want to jinx it here, but so if we have another emergency, so like one of those links would be right straight to emergency stuff.
yeah,
Is that accurate?
I had already on the old website, I have a page that just says emergency and it has some things saying if something happens, information will be posted here. And that would be where I would consolidate everything that as I did for the other fires. So it wouldn't be just right on the front page.
Yeah.
And then another button will be the sheriff. So yes, we can really flag
Okay.
those front and center things. There's also something that's not showing here right now, but there will be the ability to have a little pop-up, which would be like the alert banner that goes across the top right now. So if we need something out there right now, we can put that banner up.
Cool.
Let's see. Yeah, I can switch my sharing. Sorry. Okay, so within this, the sheriff's office really had a lot of information and they wanted a way so that they could be distinct and also get everything organized but look similar to us. So this is what the sheriff's page will kind of look like. No, I can't go back to that. Can I get to see here? So similarly, they can put their hot links here on the top if it's whatever they need, like maybe concealed carry or whatever their issues are. And then since they also have their own Facebook page, will be able to embed their posts here. So we have a very similar template that I can do for the other elected officials or the other departments. Since I'm having so much trouble switching here, just picture for the other pages without the sheriff's office banner here would just be that top section. And then we could replace the sheriff's office badge with a picture of the person. And the departments can have their own links here. You know, for example, if the assessor wants pay your taxes or find your taxes or whatever, we can showcase everyone's information quickly. So pretty excited to get this going. And just so I get back to my page, you see. You know what, I'll just leave it. I was here on the messy page and apologize, but, so now as we move forward with the structuring, the best case scenario, and I am kind of optimistic because we really don't have that much content and we've been kind of preemptively working on it. So best case scenario would be about mid-June. Worst case or longest, according to their timeline from here on out, would put us at late July. Excuse me. So our contract with Civic Plus expires on June 10th. Right now, they're rewriting it so that we can extend on a month-to-month basis if we need to. And that would be $12.50 a month. So if we're not going to be done by June 10th, then I can extend for another $12.50.
If I might on that. So that is, we were hoping not to have to do that, but that would be included in part of your commissioner contingency, thinking that we didn't know if we were going to have to hit that, but we probably will for a couple of months just to get this up and running. And, you know, one of those things I always want to caution people, I have never been through a conversion where it didn't blow up and go backwards. So just expect that. And then we fix it and go forward. So.
And I've been kind of particular with the team on the way the design looks and how we are settling with this, because once we sign it off, those things are frozen or we pay them $100 an hour to fix it. So I've wanted to concentrate the money here. Everything else going forward, I'll have the ability to change, and so we can budget a little bit when we get there.
So when you get it set up, when you said you got like the sheriff's office or Renee's office or whatever, are they going to put their new information on it, or does all that have to come through you?
It will be mostly migrated. So they'll look at, that's why we've been cleaning up the website right now. We'll take a lot of the pages and the structure and just kind of take the content there and move it into the new format. So otherwise I will be building it with people, and Ronnie, Chrissy, and Tina and Vicky will all be the other people that have access to it if I'm out and on an emergency. But overall, to try to keep things flowing smoothly, I want to start out structuring it, and then we'll see.
And consistent. Okay, so this department won't be adding stuff and that department won't be adding stuff. It'll be through your shop. Okay.
That's how I'd like to do
So
it.
so if they want something changed, they have to come to you.
Right now, that's what we're doing, and it seems to be working. And I do want to try to be more consistent like that, because you're going to have one department, as we did, that's going to link to everything everywhere. And even though it's not really Rio Blanco County information, I want to keep us in our lane with what we should be presenting and not have PDFs and not have links everywhere, because then they get broken. And so
No, we send them to a Chinese gambling site.
yeah, this is what happened to the old, if we lost the domain, choose Rio Blanco. If you go there now, it's an Indonesian gambling site. So
Wonderful.
That also happened with our adoption.
Yep.
The adoption website, the state, because the adoption website that they used to have, evidently they lost their domain, and yeah.
So that brings up nicely. One last thing that I did want to say with the website is, going forward for next year, I might want to consider a professional photography or videography budget. Choose Rio Blanco did that really beautiful video, and it had, it's just very nicely done. I can pull some things from it because I believe we own it, but if it goes all the way to the end, it says chooserioblanco.com. So something to consider going forward. So the other thing that I really wanted to talk about is something that Rich and I have been working on, and Ronnie and others, and that will be an event that we want to have on April 23rd at the fairgrounds from 6 to 8 p.m. And we've called this Fire Ready, a community conversation. So I've been kind of quiet behind the scenes until now, just trying to get this set up and structured. Now, over the next month will be the promotional push. And Callie, you and I have kind of talked about maybe we need to move it up sooner. Yes, and this gives me a month to talk. So I can have a few articles in the paper. I can have your commissioner voice talking fire. We can go fire, 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 Facebook, everything, really blast people for a month. And then the meeting's a nice thing that we hope will happen still have attendance, but they should get the message by then. So at this, you think kind of like a fire team briefing. It will be structured similarly. We'll have the sheriff speaking first, and he'll talk about fire restrictions. And we're going to introduce Rich, and I believe he's going to talk about Ready, Set, Go and some preparations. We'll have Curtis Keach from the Forest Service and Bill Mills talking about their agencies, their concerns, and then Ronnie will talk about reverse 911 and alerts. We've also got other stations around the room, opportunities for the community to provide more information without it all just being speaking. And Luke, I spoke with Luke yesterday. He's reluctant to commit because, as anyone, the fire trucks could run off and maybe not be available. But the intention is that there would be fire trucks and Smokey making a visit from the Forest Service. And all that, Bill, everybody could have to be called away on a fire. It's just part of the deal right now. What else did I want to say about that? Oh, another thing that I do want to try to do some outreach. I was talking with Vicki about this, and you would be a perfect representative here, is to try to reach out to some community groups, our churches and things. And I would like to have a contact list. In the fires last year, that would have been very helpful if I had an email list that I could have blasted critical information to. Those are entities in the community that are really effective at getting the word out. So be reaching out in the next few weeks for that too. So cool. Anything else you want to talk about with the fire, Rich?
Let's just not have any fire.
I'm kind of
That's on you.
I'm hoping for Murphy's Law, like talk and prepare. I'm hoping it rains.
Well, and I think that's kind of that whole thing. So CSU had passed out or had sent over adapt to wildfire. We live in Colorado. It's going to happen. This guy just kind of talks about those zones and things like that. So we'll have more of these books and just getting people to look at their porches right now. Do you have combustible mats? Do you have, your furniture, your outdoor furniture? Those things are highly flammable and it could happen at any moment. You may not know when that one ember just happens to hit, maybe it's just floating by and happens to land on your outdoor sofa and goes whoosh.
It's one of the first things that those wildland firefighters do when they come to their house is they take everything that's around the house and they throw it away from the house.
And so why not be doing that now?
Yeah.
Why not making that defensible space as much as you can? It just makes sense. So on that,
I'm sorry, one thing that I did want to go back to, Jennifer, we didn't really talk about Rangeley on that. I'm hoping that we can live stream this and get that set up and live stream from the 4-H building in Meeker. And I really want to try to get this Meeker one solid and done, and then we can replicate in Rangeley if we need to. I'm just a little reluctant to take on planning one more thing right yet. So
I would like to see one.
I think we can get one set up in Rangeley pretty easily.
Yeah. I just think we have different terrain. We have industry that would be different. I mean, Peons has it, but we have different terrain over here.
Mhm.
So I would.
But the general format would be there and it would be easier just to plug and play.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that once we have this agenda down, we could probably reproduce it over here fairly quickly and fairly easily.
Perfect. I think so too. We'll just be, and luckily Rich is familiar with this side, but getting me hooked up with the groups that we want to promote to. So perfect.
Is that like a daytime or evening?
This will be April 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. I'm also going to be putting posters around town. So probably using some of my budget for ads in the paper and printing some things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good morning. So I started on the 2nd. I kind of hit the ground running with Vicki handing me the hazard mitigation plan and saying, hey, we got to fix this. So that was an experience, but we got all of the proposed changes done that week, which was pretty fast. And then trying to figure out everything that I'm supposed to do within the county. I still don't have a great understanding of all my parameters. So if it's something that I think I need to be involved in or whatever, I'm just going to stick my nose in there until I get bit, and we'll fall back and regroup from there. Since that point, I've been multiple meetings with surrounding county EMs, got on their mailing list and their email text messaging list. So we're all looped in there. I'm starting to reach out and make those contacts at the state level as well. Also, after that first week, I took the continuity of operations plan and completely rebuilt that. It's now about a 200-page document. So if we have to shut down operations in Meeker and relocate them to Rangeley or vice versa, we actually have a plan in place to be able to do that. And that covers every single department within the county, up to and including the commissioners. What resources you need to have to be able to operate, what would be your alternate location, ideally for you to be able to operate out of, things like that, who's in charge of that, and what would the steps be to shut that down and reconstitute business back in the former location. Also, I have gone through and completely rebuilt the county emergency operations plan. It is also right around 200 pages. Both of those plans, I have them in the EM file. They're both drafts at this point. I'm tidying up, putting in department head names, things like that, and getting the final version so we can print it out and submit it out to everybody. I also attended a couple of a pipeline awareness class and a pipeline excavation safety class this last week. And I've been to those before as a safety guy with oil and gas, and also as a law enforcement guy. This first time as an EM, it's kind of a little bit of a different experience, but it was a good experience. I touched base with Tallgrass, Enterprise, Kinder Morgan. I made contacts with all of those guys there. I'm actually going to start here over the next couple of weeks going out to other oil and gas businesses and touching base with them, leaving them my information, finding out any problems that they're dealing with and things like that. I got meetings stacked up all the way into July at this point with EM related stuff. I have been working with Lynn on the presentation that she talked about. We're also trying to designate some of the lanes for the PIO stuff and EM stuff. What portion does the sheriff's office deal with? What portion does Rio Blanco County deal with? And I'm working on that. I've come up with a lot of information. I just need to kind of flesh that out a little bit. And then her and I will get together. We can develop. We want everybody to understand their roles in a serious incident. But we also need to understand that if there's a lot of conflict, it creates chaos, and chaos isn't good for people that we serve. So we're going to try to deal with that as well. And it is going to be a learning process over the next probably 18 to 24 months. We should have everything pretty well ironed out when it comes to that stuff. Trying to think what else that I've been involved in. I went up and did a drive through the burn area up on Peanuts. I got probably half of that done. I'm going to go up and spend another afternoon and go through the rest of that. I have looked at some of the mitigation projects that Road and Bridge is working on with culverts and things. And then of course I'm scheduled tomorrow to go up to the campground for that. I also have the EMS council meeting tomorrow at noon that I got to punch in on that as well. So I've tried to get as much work done as possible before the potential calamity strikes. So the 31st, I'm scheduled to be down in Grand Junction for 5 hours with the state regional emergency manager down there at the state level, Danielle. We're going to do a little bit of onboarding stuff, and she's going to give me some guidance on things that we need to make sure we get done in that first 24 to 48 hours when we start having a big incident. And so
I can't tell you what a relief it is to have Rich on board. He knows people He's very well involved with both the Rangeley and Meeker communities. He knows people, and he knows people who know people, which is not something we had the last time. It was, being thrown in that was very difficult. So having that faith that he knows from a lot of different standpoints, okay, this is what this means, and this is what I need to attack first. The continuity of operations plan, had no idea where that was when the state came in. And to have that document already completed, and there's still some folks that I think he's gonna reach out to that, I don't know, have you gotten, I think you might have a couple still missing on that, right?
Yeah, I actually have quite a few, but some of the information I can probably pluck off of the drive, department head information and things like that. The big thing is we try to have 3 deep on leadership for each one of these departments, and some of them is difficult, like Laura at HR. She's a one-person show, right? So trying to find truth back on that. The assessor, right? Those are positions that are going to be a little problematic, and we might have to do a little bit of creative thinking. But presenting leadership with those problems, it really makes them stop and think about that. Like, yeah. So if I'm not available, who can access the information that I have, right? Who can shut down and take care of all of our records and then move them, right? So, and if we do that, what am I going to need to set back up? Am I going to need internet? What kind of power am I going to need? What kind of phone service am I going to need? What kind of office space will I need? Can I do that from my kitchen, or do I need like an actual office? Those are just some things that make people think about it. And of course, part of those plans as we move forward, and probably summer's not going to be the best time because I have a feeling we're going to be busy this year. But when we get into fall and winter, doing some tabletop exercises and getting leadership involved in there and having discussions. So not only do they know we have a plan, but they know what's in the plan and what their roles are in that plan. Those are all things moving forward that we need to have, because it does us no good to have a plan just sitting on a shelf that nobody's ever seen. Nobody knows about.
So Rich, so I know that we're also focused on fire.
Yep.
But are you looking at other emergency
Yeah,
situations?
actually, the emergency operation and continuity of operations plan covers everything, whether it's fire, we have a severe storm, things get flooded out, we have an internet attack and shuts down all of our facilities, we have a major power outage.
No water.
Everything.
No water.
Yeah, no water, especially for the town
Water.
of Rangeley, and
Yep.
and we talked about that this morning.
Another
So
public health thing like COVID, let's say we have some sort of big public health event like that where we really have to shut everything in. The emergency operations plan may not cover that specific problem, but it covers something close. So at least you have the basic building block. So then you could deal with the minutia of it.
Okay. We
One of the
also,
other things, I got some emails out trying to get training in here for the community animal rescue team. A CART team is what they called. We have an event like last year where we're looking at evacuation of people. We're also looking at evacuation of livestock and pets, things like that. These CART teams help with that evacuation. Not only the movement of those animals, but cataloging what animals, where they're going, and making sure they're set up and prepared for placement there, water, feed, things like that. So we're trying to get as much in-house as we can, trying to get things ready. So if we have another incident like last year, all we got to do is just start activating things instead of having to learn it on the fly.
So who does the CART thing? Who
There's multiple organizations. Right now I've got it out to CSU to see about trying to get a training in here.
Yeah,
I've
that's
already
who.
talked to some people with 4-H, things like that. I think there would be a pretty big response of people that would be willing to help out with that and be part of that team.
So who's your who do you have a contact with
I don't. I
extension?
just sent an email off to a person at CSU that was on their website it was involved in the CART training.
I'll get you the more
Carla?
Carla
Okay.
from Garfield County.
She's our acting extension agent right now.
Okay.
So we should have somebody on board there within a month or two. I'm probably going to say 2.
Okay.
But you know, who knows, that may be a pretty new kind of person too, because so from the fire last year, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but the extension agent out of Moffat County is awesome. And he provided a lot of that information down here for us. But he's kind of their lead on that, I think. I'll think of his name.
Carla's been doing this extension agent a long time, so she's a good contact. She's good at it. She's in Garfield.
Some of the other things I've been trying to get out with community groups, try to get involved with them. I was out this last Saturday with the OHV club here in Rangeley, did a trail cleanup. Touched base with BLM, who was also out there, and we had a discussion about the upcoming fire season, things going on. I've been working with Emma Baker at the chamber. She needed a safety plan to submit to BLM for the rally coming up. And because I do so many of those, I just ramped one up and gave her something that is a good base plan for her she can build off of. So help her out with that. Like I said, I've been trying to get involved in as much as possible.
Well, and that's another thing, the emergency plans that I'm aware of. I don't know that we've had emergency plans for the fair, that we've had for range call, that those have, you know, they're probably, maybe they've been done and they're on a shelf somewhere, but there are so many things that we really need to be taking into account. We've been extremely lucky, you know, but, you know, we have a wildfire in the middle of fair. What do we do? You know, you can't plan for everything, but you have a plan to get the plan. So,
well, and truthfully, if I get involved in some of the planning with all of that, I mean, it sets us up really good. We're the ones that are going to be initiating in our, emergency operations center if we have some sort of major incident. And whatever plans that these folks have, if I've been involved with making those plans, I'm already familiar with those. And we won't have to scramble around looking or thinking or trying to find it or whatever. We already have that. So just trying to mitigate as much as possible, having to relearn how to make a wheel when the time comes.
Excellent.
Thank you for all your hard work so quickly.
yes.
Yeah, and something that always comes to my mind when we get somebody like you, what happens when you're not around?
So, part of that emergency operation plan and continuity operations also covers emergency management. I've already had a discussion with Travis about pulling one of their staff to be either my second or third. And the reason why, the second or third, they're already very familiar with incident command, right? If they're in that upper level SO sheriff's office command structure, they're already intimately aware of incident command. They're also very aware of usually what our operations plan and stuff like that are in event of emergency. So they would be kind of a go-to person. The downside of that is if we have a big event, they're probably up to their eyebrows in it already. So I'm trying to find somebody within the county, and Vicki and I had this conversation, somebody that works in our county structure that maybe has been involved with the fire department or EMS as a volunteer, has had some years doing that, so they understand how that process works, but is also not fully up to their eyebrows in an incident that we could probably tap and pull in as assisting us in that emergency management role.
Good.
And another thing, he's reaching out to the surrounding emergency managers for support as well. And that was one of the things that we heard, pretty clear last year, is that, the more that this emergency manager can be in contact with our surrounding EMs, the better support, and we can provide support too. And Rich and I were talking about an event happens in Dinosaur. How long is it going to take for the EM, to really know about that, to be able to start handling things when he's got that long drive, when Rich is boom, right there. So those communities, the surrounding areas working together is it's extremely critical. So.
Well, besides, again, unfortunately, the practice makes perfect.
Practice.
So being there and being part of them. So I guess, how about the switching over from Doug to you? Any information that you, and follow up on the
It's
stuff
been a little,
that's,
that was a little stressful, trying to coordinate that, but basically we had a Zoom meeting. He basically looped me in on the fire building that they sent up to the state for all road and bridge stuff and everything else. All that billing is in the queue,
right,
but it could be months before anybody looks at it.
for
and does
years?
anything
Yeah,
on
it's
it.
my
So
understanding. Okay.
that's long term. He's looping me in on a couple of other things that he's involved in, but other than that, I think I'm just gonna have to.
Okay. Just that paperwork from the last fire is what I was thinking about. So just
Right.
knowing, so when they start finally getting into it, if you can address that.
Yeah.
So,
And he assured me, him and Shelley both assured me that at any point, if questions or anything else, all we had to do is pick up the phone. They were not just gonna like ignore us. They would help out with that. So
Thank you, Rick.
yes, thank you, Rich and Lynn both. Thank you, guys. Feeling good. Things are moving right along.
I can't
So
tell
thank
you what a stress relief having, these things
And-
on board and set up. It's just-
well, we're talking about, and stuff like that. I mean, Rangeley is just juniper and sagebrush is so horrible.
Yeah.
In a fire. I mean, those embers can carry a couple of miles on wind and start a fire. It's some of the worst stuff, and that's what we're surrounded with here. So I worry that we're gonna have another big event either here or upriver.
Right.
With all the beetle kill and I mean.
the center of the county is pretty well burned up, but it could be either end.
Well, we went through this last big heat wave. I mean, I went out hiking on Saturday and it was 82 degrees.
Crazy.
My poor little dog was like, "This is BS." Anyway, 5% humidity. The Sahara Desert is at 20. I mean, that's how dry. I've never seen it this dry, this early.
Scary. Yeah, it was a thought I had, but it got away, so must not have been important. It did. So, all right. Well, thank you guys very, very much. So, okay. So moving on to our other business 6 is our county commissioner updates. So I don't know who started last time, but first. Yeah, go.
Sure.
Take.
So I attended the Yampa White Green Roundtable, and they're in the middle of trying to redo some of their bylaws, and we're trying to keep that a little more even. Then I attend the AGNC legislation meetings every Thursday. We went on a Desirado mine tour and the power plant, and that was I can tell you that was an eye opener for me, just to be able to get down in the mine and see a longwall working and what they have to do and the benefit that Rio Blanco County gets from that mine and the Bonanza power plant. We were standing around in the Bonanza power plant control room, and it's amazing to me. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it because it made me stop and think a little bit. The most expensive thing out there for electricity is solar panels, and then there's wind, and then there's natural gas, and then coal. Coal is the cheapest by a long way. But the way that our government is set up is that when the sun is shining, the power plants have to shut down. And so we're being forced to use very expensive electricity, and the people that have the coal plants are being forced to shut down. And it just is, it amazes me. Sometimes common sense doesn't work in this world, but we really appreciate those guys in what they do and what they contribute to the county. They are actually going to build another power plant in Bonanza that's going to be fired by natural gas. And the good thing about that is it will produce jobs that probably some of them will come out of Colorado, out of Rangeley. And the natural gas that they're going to be using will no doubt come out of our gas field. So that was all nice to hear also. We had some work sessions on in-stream flows and of course the weekly World Wolf Coalition meetings. And the wolf is just an ongoing, we're just trying to put the governor off till he's out of office and hoping that we can make some headway with common sense in that area. That's all I have.
All righty, thank you. So I have attended, have had a couple of ongoing negotiations with CDHS, HICPUP Governor's Office and advocates over the changing of Medicaid, SNAP, and at the state level, them wanting us to regionalize. And so the top things that we talk about there are, what are those minimal requirements that we're supposed to do? And it was a little refreshing to hear when Carmen was talking about the SNAP review that they had put out this talking spreadsheet, I guess is what I'm looking. I think I can envision what it looks like of what they're supposed to be asking their clients in being able to qualify them for SNAP. So, you know, the state, when we ask what are the minimal requirements, they really can't answer that for the county staff. So the county staff has to go and figure out what are those minimum requirements. So in this bill that we're trying to negotiate is that the state as well as the counties need to work together to figure out what those minimum requirements are. The other thing is updating CVMS. So not only updating CVMS, which is where we put all of our Medicaid applications, all of our SNAP applications. So anything eligibility wise in being able to qualify somebody, CVMS has not worked, has never worked ever since the inception of it. And we've continued to piecemeal it. And the state finally is saying, okay, we need to get rid of CVMS and we need to get a new system in. So they did bring in a gal, Nina, that has been working with a working group committee on what this new system should look like and how much more streamlined it needs to be for those eligibility texts so that they're not having to go in and piecemeal making a case work or not work, qualify, not qualify, because that's where those administrative costs are coming in. And that's where our per and perms are dipping and where we're getting dinged at the federal level. And the federal level is saying, we're not going to give you any more money. And that was all due to HR1. So those two things are two of the ones that are pretty big for me. The other one is this policy negotiations versus budget negotiations. And right now the governor's office is saying we don't want to talk about the budget part because one, we don't even know what that looks like. And two, we don't really want to have to do that to the next administration. Well, that doesn't work for us. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we've got to figure out. And so I was very proud of the directors that were in the negotiations, really pushing back on the state and saying, we need numbers. We need to know real-time, not only data, but numbers, money-wise, what this is going to look like for the county and what it's potentially going to cost us. Because if our per and perms don't go down, then that impacts us with our reimbursement from the federal level. It's just kind of that trickle down effect. So we have another meeting tomorrow and they're 3-hour long meetings. So we dive into some pretty heavy stuff, but I am very proud of the directors and how much they are pushing back and really questioning the state and putting them on the spot and really for the governor's office to hear those things and really what what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis with their staff. So we'll see what happens tomorrow and where we're at. We were supposed to be done last Wednesday, but then we didn't get through all of our agenda. So we are having another meeting tomorrow. Administrator meetings, had a few of those. I already mentioned the Social Security Foster Youth Bill. I attended that meeting. I attended a semi-WAC meeting, which is the Works Allocation Committee that I sit on. And that's for TANF, the Human Services Eligibility Programs that we help with what the budget looks like and how they roll that out. The state rolls that out. They give us recommendations and then we vote on it. So I had a one-on-one with the new finance person at the state level, asking what my concerns were with TANF. Attended some CCI meetings. I also did the Deserato and Bonanza Power Plant tour. Amazing. The people that did the presentations for us really they were very thoughtful in educating us and helping us understand what we were walking into when we went and did either underground or even the power plant part of it, and breaking down the science, so to speak, for us, so that we could know what we were walking into and understanding really what, how they operate day to day. So really appreciate all the work that they do, and we'll continue to fight for them as much as possible. Did a lot of work sessions, and Carmen and I have had a couple of meetings together. So other than that, and I got to go visit my daughter and granddaughter in Texas for almost a week. So
very good. Thank you much. Let's see. So Club 20, I spent 2 days at the Club 20 policy meetings. And so I used to always just go to primarily their natural resource ones, which would have been the water, ag, federal lands, and natural resources and energy. But I've been trying to make both days of it. So they've got all their education and the transportation and business and so forth. So they have 11 committees. So they can put 2 days worth of work together pretty quickly. So that was in Grand Junction last on the 12th and 13th. They've still got good solid policy in my opinion. So we continue to move forward. One of the conversations that was a big conversation there and is everywhere is still the concern if this water access bill, or so river accessing rivers, if that materializes. So far, there still isn't anything. But there is a good sized coalition that's preparing, pushing back now. And as you may remember, we did a letter to leadership that said, thank you very much, we don't need to do this. And a couple of those organizations have used our letter and encouraged others to do the same thing. And then they're putting that information on their website as well. So they're kind of using us as a example. So continuing to do good things there. Let's see, we had again work session, several of them, but just kind of working on how we can improve our agenda and our process getting information on the agenda and then making the agenda flow. And so you may have noticed we have started putting more agenda items on the consent item, or a consent agenda. So if we've already had the conversation in work sessions and we've reviewed all of it, rather than just going through the motions and each one of us making a motion in a second and so forth, it's on the consent agenda. However, if there's something on there that any one of us have got a question on, concern on, we don't think we can support it, we can request to pull it off of the consent agenda as we get started. Same thing can go for the general public. If they have looked at that and they've got a question on something, they can do public comment up front and ask that they can't do it, but they can ask us to remove it from the consent agenda and hear more about it or whatever. So hoping to try to make our meetings flow a little quicker, a little easier, and yet everybody is well informed on what our decisions are. Also attended the Basin Roundtable. I typically go to what they call the Big River Committee, which is a couple of hours before it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to actually attend it, but listened into it. And our water issue on the big river, as we call it, Colorado River. Andy from the Colorado River District did a presentation, and we'll be hearing more from them. I don't remember when the state of the river meetings are. They should be sometime soon. Keep an eye open for that. Those are going to be very, very important, I think, this year, because the River District will come and do their presentations. But what I heard was extremely concerning and eye-opening. And I will tell you, I'm a pretty big fan of Andy's. He has an amazing amount of knowledge. And so while we've been being told over the last half a dozen years that no big hurry to figure out what we're going to do in case there is a call on the river from the lower basin states, because we've got another 3, 4, 5, 6 years before it will hit that call. Given our winter this year, they're predicting we could be there this year, before the end of this year. So nobody knows what that really will look like, because the 7 states have not come to an agreement on how the operating guidelines will work. And in all reality, which this was a new piece to me, is it is up to the feds. The only reason the feds hand that over to the states and try to get them to come to an agreement is to try to stay out of a lawsuit. It's the only reason they do that. By law, it is the Bureau of Reclamation that has to make that decision. So I found that interesting. So we all talk about, well, if they aren't going to do it, they'll take it over. Well, it's really their role anyway. So long story short, we don't know what they're going to do. And just worst case scenario, they're thinking that by September-ish, they could be a call on the river. Now, whether that will be, then we have the more urgent issue, I think, is the power generation for Lake Powell. That's the one I don't think we have a clue what they will do. Now, their first target will be anything that is Bureau of Reclamation reservoirs. So as we knew a year or two ago, they did, they pulled out of the Blue Mesa Reservoir, and there's multiples of others. So they will pull from those first and foremost. What are we looking at?
That's the state of
Because
the
it is
river.
coming up very
Okay.
quick.
And it is, when is ours?
April.
April 16th. So
At the
thank you.
Fairfield.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's a short turnaround to make sure. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. So thank you. So April 16th. Stay tuned. Please try to attend. So, but the conversation is there's probably not enough water in those more than a year. And if we don't have a better year next year, much better year, then what? And so it's very concerning, very concerning. So, not good news, as we all knew, but just certainly made me a little more concerned. And the other update, unfortunately, we had, Reese was on the Basin Roundtable, but did resign, and for the right reasons. He realized he lived less than a half a mile out of the White River or the Yampa Basin. He actually lives in the Colorado River Basin, where he lives. So he did resign for that reason. So, and as Doug mentioned, the goal there is to, they're reducing the size of the Basin Roundtable because of state statute. I'm fine with that. However, I am going to fight tooth and nail that they keep equal numbers. They not let one basin or county, it's actually one county, get overrepresented versus others, because that might not work out well for the White River. So we will fight that one tooth and nail, which I was just double checking. It is this Friday that they want the feedback on those. So gotta get that done. The mine tour and power, that was, can't say, ditto. It is pretty cool. I did a day's worth of jury duty. That was pretty cool to learn
Sorry
about.
about that.
Yeah, you told me I wouldn't have to do it. But it was really, actually, I'm really glad that I did. It was a really cool experience. I had never done that. So that was awesome. The in-stream flows, we'll continue to work on that. Let's see, we will need to submit to the Colorado Water Conservation Board if we are going to oppose the in-stream flows that are in the headwaters of our river. We have to do that by next Tuesday as well. So we are looking into what that really looks like. And I think now I'm just drawing a blank. Reese is moving forward with that letter, I believe.
I believe that was
Okay.
the direction.
All right. In addition to the WOOF meeting, also went to Craig for the first Northwest Colorado Outdoor Alliance meeting, which is the one that Carrie is facilitating for us, and was really excited to see. It was less than a week turnaround from when we selected them at our last meeting, and then they met last Thursday, and that it's a really, really good group. All but one was there in person, and that one, because it was such short notice, was not able to attend. But very good group of people moving quickly on it, and just excited to see that moving forward. So looking forward, I would just say this Thursday is the Bureau of BLM Rec Summit in Meeker. So that is BLM. Thankfully, the primary speakers will be Carrie. It's our outdoor recreation group too. So when they did one in Craig a couple weeks ago, John and Carrie were the primary speakers there. So I think they got our message the last time we spoke with the state BLM folks and said, we'll do the local one here. You guys wait and listen for us. They went ahead and had their meeting, but they are letting John and Carrie primarily lead the effort. And there was a lot of support for them, Carrie said. Speaking of that, just as an FYI, the BLM state director is no longer with BLM. They do have an acting state director. Don't know anything about him, but excited to see that we are making a change there. The other thing, CPW commission meeting is May 6th and 7th. Please, everybody who can possibly get away to go to that needs to show up in Grand Junction. We don't know what their agenda is yet, but I will tell you the evening of the 6th, please plan to be there. There is scheduling to be a large event for that evening that will be for all of us who are interested in protecting the Western Slope and the way things are going. And which reminds me, did I send you, there is a request for sponsorship.
Yeah,
I
okay, so
would
that's
like to
the
Roundup, the wagon roundup or something like that.
Circle the wagon.
Thank you.
Circle the wagons, there you go.
and it's
So-
that's on the back there.
Okay, so before we leave, do we need to approve that, or is that something you can do? With
I just
directions?
need your direction of what you want to.
I suggested at least they have a $250, $500, and $1,000. Sponsorships.
1,500 and 250.
Yeah, so I would say at least 500. What do you
I'm
guys
good with
feel?
that. Yeah, I read it. I'm good with that.
Includes logo and swag distribution. Or the $1,000 leadership sponsor includes logo, swag, table, and podium time. But depending on if you want podium time.
Good with 500.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys. I think that's very important. So I know, and Rose, are you still on? Nope, Rose.
No, she has her other meeting.
Everybody, please help us get people to attend that. So I don't know what we can do
So,
as a county we need to verify that again with Rose, but I want to be sure we push that somehow.
Okay.
Stay out of
Can
trouble,
you,
but push.
Can you send that to me in an email?
Yes.
And I will make sure everybody on this side starts getting it. Push that out.
Absolutely.
What time is that meeting?
They're all day meetings.
All day.
And so we'll have to stay
Is that
tuned
too?
for their agenda and when things are happening, which only comes out 10 days prior. So that's hard to plan around. So just plan to reserve, and particularly that evening of the 6th. If
May
ever-
6th, starting at 5:30 to 8:30 is when the actual social is.
Awesome. And one last thing, just in case we ever need to know, 294 days before our current governor is done.
Gosh,
Countdown.
that's a long time.
Just saying.
It could be worse.
Bills and-
He could just be starting a term.
Hopefully we don't get another one like him.
Or worse.
With that, I don't have anything else, I don't think. Do you guys? Alrighty. With that, we will, a motion to adjourn
Madam Chairman, I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
at 11:44.
Sweet.
Roll call, please.
O'Haron. Aye. Overton.
Aye.
Scritchfield.
Aye. The score. Yes.
That was streamlined. I like